Welcome to episode 4 of the 4-Shot Podcast, where we discuss all things HCS and some things Halo. I am Phelan, and with me tonight I have Phade
Hey, how's it going today?
and EXO again.
How's it going, guys?
And once again, Mullen is not with us because, school stuff.
Yet
Finals are
again.
soon, maybe. I don't know, it's been a while since I've been out of school. Phade,
I get it. I had finals this week as
yeah,
well,
okay.
or still going on. But
Okay, so it's about that time of the semester, I suppose. So to jump things off here, the big news of the week is that Cup 1 got canceled. They tried doing the Open Cup on Saturday, and there were tons of connectivity issues and party issues related to the recent update that 343 released. So due to that, the Open Cup never got finished, and the Legendary Cup on Sunday never even got started. So this week's episode might be a little bit shorter since we don't have any games to discuss, and I don't think there's really been any scrims either because of the issues. So we'll probably be light in that area as well. But there are a lot of rumored roster changes that we're going to dive right into.
I got tons of grinding going on by everybody, I think, with the
Yeah,
ranks coming out.
it seems like a lot of people are kind of playing by themselves too, because they're having
Yeah.
trouble getting in parties and staying in parties. And I know I played with EXO a little bit earlier in this week, and we had tons of troubles just trying to play some games.
Yeah, I've been good for the most part, actually. Most of my parties have been pretty stable, so I've been fortunate there. But I got some good games in. Didn't always do well, but it's another story.
So let's start talking about rosters and roster changes. A lot of the teams have stayed the same. Some of them have not. There's a lot that has been unofficially been going on. If you've been reading through the forums of Team Beyond or not, there's a few official changes that have happened. We'll start with the official ones. The big one: Noble Black disbands after a 7th place finishing, I believe, at the tournament. We already knew Ninja left, but it looks like the whole team has finally disbanded. This was kind of shocking to me. How did you guys feel about this when you heard of it?
Yeah, I think it's basically coming down to because, the rumor is that Arcanum's going to Winter Fox. And so with that being the case, it just left Ares and just a team of 2 there. So they were just, I guess, decided that it was going to be easier for them to split ways than try and rebuild and find another team of 2 to play with that they could compete with. So it is a shock, like, that they're just completely gone. And I'm a little surprised that Winter Fox is potentially changing as well. That's still rumored, but it's pretty much, from what I understand, pretty much confirmed. I didn't expect to see many roster changes in the top 8, to be honest.
I wasn't expecting too many roster changes either. And to be fair, there's not. If you look at the tier list that we've talked about before, for the most part, the only team in the top tier list that we mentioned that's changing is Winter Fox. And last week we mentioned the troubles they had at the tournament with toxicity and players not getting along and players having bad days and stuff along those lines. So I'm not necessarily too surprised that a change was coming, but I'm still a little shocked after a 4th place finish, I believe, from Atlanta, that they would try to make a change so quick. But a lot of the changes seem to be coming from outside that, top 5 or 6 teams where, those are the teams that struggled, definitely didn't do what they were expecting and need to try to step up and get into that top tier. So as we mentioned already, Winter Fox looks like they're making a change. There was tons of rumors going around about Winter Fox making changes, especially coming out of that tournament. I know, EXO, you messaged me early on saying that, Nade was potentially getting dropped. I've probably every person on the team I've heard rumored about potentially getting dropped. And what looks like to be coming out of all this is that Contra is going to be getting dropped for Arcanum, which, in my opinion, is a huge pickup for Winter Fox. This is definitely going to propel them to the next level. It could potentially put them up there fighting against EG at the next tournament.
Yeah, I remember because I was watching his stream and he said something about, like, of course, none of them know what's going on anyway. I mean, even if they do know, they're not going to let everybody, the public know until everything's finalized. Um, I mean, I know he said that he's still on Winter Fox, but before the next event, there definitely won't be the original team was what Winter Fox started out as. So, I know that's what he said. And just by from what I've seen, I mean, I'm just gonna just throw this out as a long shot. I wouldn't be surprised if Spartan and Ninja Party, like, if they team up. I mean, it's probably far fetched, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happens. They've been playing a lot together online, and they've been talking a lot together, but neither of them have really said, for sure what's going to happen. But that's just my take.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking that Ninja and Spartan are a team of two, and I think it's unofficial that they're a team of two. I may have heard or read somewhere that Ninja might have hinted or dropped that him and Spartan are going to be running as a team of two, trying to find a team of four, or I guess another team of two to make a team of four. But yeah, there's nothing official out there yet. And as a team of two, I guess you can't really have anything official out there about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you'd
think it's.
that, like, are you good?
I was just gonna say, well, I got a chance to question Spartan or give him a question on his stream about that, and he said, like, what I asked him was if what the chances are that the Excellence roster stays together, and he's like, well, I can't give you a for sure answer on that. It kind of just depends on how everything shakes down, like everything else plays out with everyone, like what other moves happen. So my guess is that he probably wants to team with Ninja, and Ninja wants to team with him, and it'll really come down to who they find as their third and fourth there. And if it's something that they're both happy with, then that's something that'll probably happen. But if they're not finding something that they're both of them really confident and comfortable with, I think Spartan might stay with Excellence. So I think it'll just come down to really who those third and fourth are, maybe whether that's Prototype and Straight Sick or Shooter or something like that. I don't know if Spartan wants to team with Prototype and Straight Sick again. That's the Elevate guys that dropped him in the first place, or one of them did. He got replaced by one of them. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with those two, with Ninja and Spartan, and if they decide or if they find guys that they're comfortable with and think that they can challenge that top tier with them.
One thing to note real quick, based on the Winter Fox dropping Contra, while we said it, nothing is official. If you go to Contra's Twitter, he has removed all things related to Winter Fox on his Twitter, which leads you to believe that that will most likely be true coming down the pipeline sometime this week during transfer period 1.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty much a for sure.
All right, moving on to the second official roster move of the week. Elevate has disbanded after a very poor after 2 very good finishes in the online or preseason online cups, and then a very poor finish at Atlanta. It looks like the team has just disbanded, as far as I know. I'm not sure if Elevate is still looking as an esport to have a Halo team or not, but as of right now, there is no Elevate Halo team.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, I'm not surprised that they broke up. They really, I guess they did well online, but it didn't seem like a roster to me that was ever going to be able to win on LAN. They're extremely aggressive, and so is Winter Fox. And I think that those type of teams, those super aggressive teams, are going to be slightly better online, just because you're not going to die as fast, and so you get a little bit more freedom to be aggressive online than you do on LAN. So I'm not shocked that they didn't place in the top 3 like they were placing online. But I don't know what roster any of these guys can make it on that's going to be better for them. And I'm a little sad that they just disband like that, because it doesn't look good for the organizations. I'm sure Elevate's not happy about that. And I'm sure it puts a little bit of sour taste in Elevate's mouth when it comes to sponsoring Halo teams that are just breaking up and disbanding all over the place.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah. Moving into the last bit of official news that we have, the Velocity Halo is no more, but the team has stuck together and become the new Noble Esports. Since Noble Black is no longer a team, the original Velocity of Suspector, Nemesis, Lifestyle, and Kratos, who did fairly well at Atlanta's tournament that we mentioned in last week's podcast, have jumped ship from Velocity to Noble. I'm not sure what would have caused this. I'm not sure if Noble gave them a better deal, if they weren't happy with how Velocity was treating them. I'm not really sure. Since the team did stay together, even though they've rebranded under a different name, they are able to keep their points and will move up into the 7th seed. Since the original Noble Black disbanded, that team's going to forfeit their points. How do we feel about Velocity jumping ship to Noble Esports?
I think it probably just comes down to Velocity wasn't really providing either salary or stipend in terms of like travel, and Noble was willing to do that, and so I think it's good for them. I mean, Noble's a big time esports brand, so and organization. So especially if they're getting a salary now, that's great for them. My guess is that they're probably not salary, but they are getting their travel covered now, and some gear probably too. So good for them. And I'm glad that Noble isn't backing out of the scene completely because Noble Black disbanded and everything.
All right, moving into some unofficial news. It looks like Reality Check may have a new fourth. They mentioned on their Twitter a little sometime, I think last weekend. I'm not really sure when they mentioned it, but they did say that they were going separate ways with Burton, and that Reality Check was looking for a new fourth. Now, nothing official has been announced as of yet, but we would assume something would be coming down the pipeline during this transfer period. But as of right now, it looks like they are running with Gabriel from former Elevates. How do we feel about Gabriel jumping on to Reality Check, and will this maybe help Reality Check get into the top 8?
Yeah, I think it's one of the strongest pickups that they probably could have made of the people that's available. I know that there were some rumors going around about Ninja joining them, but I don't know how serious that was or if that was something that was possible or not. But Gabriel's a good player, and that's a good pickup for them. The one thing to note is that they are now the 8 seed with the teams, or maybe the 8 seed. We're not entirely sure how that's working, but they did, before the Online Cup got canceled, they did bump into the legendary bracket as the 8 seed, so they won't, assuming it stands or whatever for Cup 2, they shouldn't have to play through the open bracket, which is good for them.
It would have been kind of crazy though if Ninja actually went to Reality Check, because he have like sort of like some kind of grudge against the Suds.
Doesn't everyone have a grudge against the Suns?
For the record, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't have anything against them. I think that they work
I remember
hard.
he's always, especially in his stream and stuff, like his chat's always going crazy about saying this, that, and the other about the Suds, and he kind of laughs it off, but it's just like it'd be kind of funny if he actually did go, because of all these times he's always, talked a bunch of crap about him, and then he teams up with him. I guess it wouldn't be the worst thing we've seen happen, but it'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that it comes down to Ninja's always been on a better team than whatever Reality Check has been. And so it's kind of been this aura of Ninja and other players too being better than the Suds, and that, it's embarrassing, so to speak, to lose to the Suds. And so whenever anyone gets matched up against them, the match is always hyped because everyone wants to see the Suds win so that they can immediately go into whose ever channel that lost and talk a bunch of trash. And so I think that's where a lot of the rivalry seems to come from between, like I said, Ninja and the Suds, or just a lot of streamers and or pro players in the Suds. So it would have been interesting if he had gone there, but yeah, I never thought of it actually being a chance. Gabriel going there was kind of a shock to me. I wasn't expecting it. When Elevate disbanded, it brought 4 players who more or less needed a team. I've seen Gabriel team a lot with Munoz up to this point and in recent tournaments, so I was kind of surprised that he would go separate ways from Munoz. Something was going on there, a riff or something, but he jumped ship as a found a team of 3 that needed them, and I think it could potentially push Reality Check. Like I said, they're already kind of the 8th seed. We're not really sure how that's going to play out, but I could see them pushing to officially being in the top 8 and maybe even into the top 6 if a team has an off day.
Yeah.
Moving on, we already... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you're right. I mean, all it takes is one upset in the winners bracket to really jump. Because if you win a match and you're guaranteed top 12 in the winners bracket, the next match you win guarantees you top 6. Just like what happened with Optic when they upset Winter Fox, it guaranteed them top 6. So, in a key upset against because assuming they're the 8th seed, they would be playing the number 1 seed against EG. Now, I don't think they'd be able to, but if they did upset EG, that would put them in guaranteed top 6 in that round of the winners bracket. So there's always a possibility of that when you start with those top 8 seeds.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Some other unofficial news that we already mentioned. It looks like Ninja and Spartan are a team of 2. We also have heard rumblings that maybe Prototype and Straight Sick are once again a team of 2. There's also been rumblings that they may have found a third. From what's been mentioned on the chat, it seems like they've said it's an OG of sorts, someone who we're not currently used to seeing in the scene. So that could be interesting if we figure out who that is a third for their team, and then they would have to obviously still find a fourth.
Yeah, I have zero intel here. Zero intel. But my prediction and guess, best man.
Best man, wow. That, yeah, I guess when they say OG, that is an OG. I saw tons of guesses being thrown out there on the forums from Fonzie and Foulsy, and Captain Anarchy was a big one that I heard for a while, because I know he wanted to compete. I think during season 1 I heard rumblings.
Oh, really?
That he may have wanted to try to find a team, and nothing ever came of it. So he was kind of a big one that a lot of people were mentioning could be a possibility. But yeah, best man, that would be awesome to see him make a comeback.
Surprised Gandhi hasn't come back yet.
He's too busy smiting.
Yeah, he works for Smite, so he's it's probably similar to like Neighbor and all them at 343 that once you have a job working for a company, you probably have some sort of contract that doesn't let you be a professional video game player for another game that's not your game, or in the case of 343, some people might see it being unfair to let them compete, since they are working on the game and might have exploits in the back of their head.
Yeah, I think he's basically the equivalent of Bravo for Hi-Res Studios and Smite, their game. So he did cast at Atlanta for a series, though.
Yeah,
because I believe Hi-Res Studios is located in Atlanta, so he was able to show up and cast one series.
It would be awesome.
Or one game, I'm not sure.
It'd be awesome to see him come back, but I'm not crossing my fingers, that's for sure.
No.
I say bring back the old Carbon team in Halo 2, and then bring back the old Final Boss team. Let them duke it out. I mean, these are the two god teams, way back in the day, like 06, 07. I mean,
definitely.
It'd be good to see that happen again, but I mean, it won't, but it'd be good to see.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where let's see. Gandhi, working for Smite, or working on Smite. Karma, I have no idea what he's up to.
Isn't he in like something with Call of Duty now? Maybe?
Haven't the slightest. Ghost Yami, we know, is working for 343, and then who's the fourth one that I'm missing?
Who did you have? Shockwave?
Shockwave, I have no idea what Shockwave's up to either.
He's just working. He's just, adult life and everything. Living in Pennsylvania, I believe. But something like that. Right. I wanted to talk about, every week I wanted to try and go over one amateur team, or at least one of the teams that's not in the top 8. And this week I got a chance to talk to Element 6 Gaming, and that's AA, Impulsion, Zersky, and Kiltastics. And they had a top 16 finish at IG Atlanta. I spoke with AA. I don't know who the captain is or anything like that, how that works. But they competed in season 1 and did pretty well, around the top 16 area. Um, in the preseason Cup 1 for season 2, they finished top 16 and they lost to Excellence in that. In the preseason Cup 2, they lost to Optic early on and got top 32, so they had an early match against Optic. And then at Atlanta, they got top 16, and they had some tough matchups. They lost to EG in the winners bracket because EG had that. Well, I guess EG was 2 seed, but yeah, they lost to EG in the winners bracket and then Noble Black in the losers bracket. So lost to some very good teams, but still managed to get a top 16 placing at Atlanta. Talking to Double A, what he really said to me is that what they need to do is work on their team aggressive, like being aggressive together. They're individually aggressive, but right now they're just trying to tweak their game to get to a point where they're working together aggressively, so that way that they're making pushes coordinated. And I watching his stream for a little while. I watched some of their games, and they're good. They're some good players. He's good, and what I noticed probably the most is similar to what he said, but I think that they need to be aggressive with the objectives. I think that's something that amateur teams in general don't do as well sometimes. Whether it's bomb, trying to get 4 down multiple times in a row as you plant, it's very challenging, and sometimes you just need to get those scrappy plants. And in general, so I think that's what they need to work on, is being aggressive with the objectives and really focusing on those objectives in the objective game types. And then he said that I asked him another AM team to watch out for, and the team that he gave me, apparently they've played a bunch with each other, and that's Sunset Ballers is who he said to watch out for from the AM teams. That's Hayes, Holding the Crown, Stormy, and Squall. So maybe I'll get a chance to talk to them next week. But again, I just want to give some shout outs to some of our AM teams every week. I don't know if you guys know anything about Element 6.
I've heard the name just from watching the tournaments and looking at the brackets, but I don't know if I've ever actually got a chance to see them play up to this point.
Yeah.
Is Element 6 a esport org, or is that just their team name?
A little bit of both. It's a new org, and right now it's not like providing them anything. It's one that I believe it was Impulsion on their team. A friend of his is trying to start it, and they're working on it. So I believe it's the only Element 6 team that there is right now, unless I'm completely wrong, which could be the case. But yeah, I do believe that it's a new org that they're trying to start. So I wish them luck in that. They're very nice guys to talk to. Double A, at least. He was the one I got to speak with.
And just to add on to what you mentioned about the amateurs struggling with having objective game types, it's not just them. It's the pros. To be frank, we've seen from the Atlanta tournament that C9 I think was the big one that jumped out. That just because you're a pro team and you're awesome doesn't mean you're going to be awesome at objectives just because you know how to slay and stuff like that. And they seem to struggle at the objective game types and weren't aggressive enough. So it's it's not just the amateur teams that need to work on it. It seems like at this point some of the only teams who can do it well are EG for sure, CLG, Denial, maybe Winter Fox, but outside of that, a lot of teams seem to struggle in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. One thing I forgot to mention earlier that I wanted to touch on, that there were some tweets by Enable saying that he may be interested in playing in some HCS Season 2. Not sure.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure how legit they were. I'm not sure if it was just, the pros and former pro Enable trolling the forums or what and whatnot, but that could be, if he was to, let's just say this, if he was to come back, what team would he potentially go to, or would he have to start his own team, or how would we feel about him?
Probably go to Optic, I guess.
That would make the most
status
sense.
quo, but
yeah. So, I'm not sure how
he's got the talent to go to any team, really. I mean, he's probably one of the most talented first-person shooter players I've ever seen.
Do you think he's going to be able? I mean, I'm not sure how much he's played Halo since, or H2A at least. How much since it's come out, but is he gonna be able to, would you think he could pick it up, and jump in there right away, or?
More so than most players, actually. I did. Enable's the one player I've coached him on Team Dynasty, and he's probably the most talented player I've seen like in a long time. Just like naturally talented, and he picks up games like ridiculously fast. I mean, you see that transitioning to Call of Duty and becoming a pro very quickly there. So he'd be able to come back and pick it up very easily. I don't know if he'd like immediately just be like a top player or whatever, but I'm sure that given a few weeks or a month or something like that, he'd be able to compete with the top players.
Interesting. And then the only other thing I want to mention, just as a side note, the amount of milk gifs that are currently going on the Team Beyond forums.
I
It's
was
been like
just looking at
5
him,
pages of
actually.
it. It needs to stop. If you're
I'm
listening
thirsty.
to this and it's still
I
going
almost went
on,
and got
please.
I thought about getting a glass of milk to have during the show just for that.
I'm actually I was just scrolling over one. It looks like Chappelle from Comedy Central is like just chugging a glass of milk.
The best part is it's
I
been 5
mean-
pages of milk gifs, and they're almost all different. Like they're just people are pulling them out of everywheres, and they're all hilarious. But it's taken me forever to load pages at this point because of these damn things. So if you're part of the problem, we're asking you to please stop.
There can't be that many left. I mean, I feel like I've
It's the
seen
internet,
every
I'm
GIF
sure.
of the internet.
I'm sure there's a whole section that we've yet to unexplore of just milk gifs.
Well, I don't want to discover that part of the internet.
I was wondering what the hell's going on because I was like scrolling through. I'm like, what is with all these milk gifs, man? Like, there literally is like 5 pages of them.
If you didn't catch it from the start, you're literally just going back page by page and just seeing
Wow.
these gifs until you find the beginning of where something along the lines of Hines saying, "We're not changing our rosters. Quit trying to milk, us for a change or anything along those lines." And then it just exploded.
Speaking of videos, how about Landa?
Yes, that is something I wanted to discuss. That video,
Oh,
I know, it's a montage, I guess, of sorts. What's the opposite of a montage?
a failtage?
A failtage, yeah, it's a failtage of sorts. And obviously, one failtage isn't gonna speak to one person's talent. But for those of you that don't know, the Landa montage, and I'll write a note to myself to put a link in the show notes, or in the description so people can take a look at it if they would like on YouTube. It is a failtage of Randa basically missing every time, or not every time, but missing every time it seemed like he had the sniper, missing shots, being out of position, basically all his poor plays from Atlanta summed up into one failtage clip, and it is quite hilarious at times.
I'm assuming he didn't make it.
No, I'm not sure who made it, and I'd have to look on the forums to try to see who posted it. But
I think the best part was the commentary from like Bravo and like
yeah, the actual commentary from the tournament was quite hilarious. I know at one point he had Sword Sniper in library, and he was basically getting pinched from both sides, and he was still trying to snipe. And Bravo's just like, this is an interesting position. I'm not sure why you would take the sniper to library. I'm not sure what he's thinking right now. And then he gets absolutely demolished.
Wow.
After missing probably 4 or 5 snipes.
I don't know how many times you hear in the commentary. Oh, there's Randa. Oh, he's missing another headshot there. He just it just shows him missing headshot after headshot, and some of them weren't even hard ones. They're like, they'd be running he'd be like looking down, P Street on Shrine from like Ring 2 or something, and easy snipe shots, and he's just missing them terribly. I mean, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
in a long time.
and his reaction on the forums is quite hilarious because of it. You could tell he was upset and trying to play it off all cool, like it didn't bother him, but deep down, it probably
Oh yeah.
did. And he was getting defensive, and he got nag repped real bad pretty much every time he tried posting a defense reply about it, and it was funny. We all know, clearly he's on a top team. He's better than what that failtage shows, but yeah, it's always nice to see something like that. A
Oh
video to
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of make people laugh.
you could take most players and create one of those for them. Nobody hits every single shot, um, but yeah, it is funny that they were able to create one just from one tournament and everything.
I would counter
And
that
like you
with
said, it doesn't say anything about. It doesn't say that he's a bad player or anything like that because he's obviously very talented to be on Winter Fox. So
yeah, I would just counter that with Miquin. Um, he hits
at
every
Yeah,
shot.
at Atlanta, he does hit every shot.
And then just another, since we're on the topic of videos that were released, Roy released I guess, a montage of sorts from his Roybox Halo 1 tournament over the weekend of him and his
2v2?
twin. Yeah, the 2v2 tournament, him and
That was
Lunchbox,
great.
his twin, just like bickering and arguing and yelling at each other
Woo!
and, yeah, being woo girls together. That,
Yeah.
it's nice to see videos like this and content coming out for the fans and stuff like that. It's something we haven't really ever seen before with Halo, and it's definitely a nice change of pace.
Yeah, definitely. And support these guys. Head over to his YouTube channel and give him a follow or a subscribe, I guess. And like those videos for him because that's going to help him out and then help the community in general grow. So, but it's a very funny video. It's just enjoyable getting to watch you know, behind the controller type stuff between him and his brother and everything like that. And then also look at Towie. Towie's video. He posted one. He had a GoPro at Atlanta that he was basically filming the whole thing on, and just kind of made like a vlog throughout the entire tournament. So, and that was a good watch as well. And that's on his channel. I think that's the Ryan Towie, I believe, is what it is.
All right. Then we already mentioned earlier that Online Cup 1 didn't happen because of the update issue. A lot of famous websites started posting about it, and including Engadget, IGN, GameSpot. This isn't something, throughout the whole months that MCC was broke. We never saw a peep out of anyone. And then all of a sudden, one tournament, because of an update, a bad update, it seems to be more or less all over the internet and for websites that are known for technology news. Is this good or bad that it kind of blew up like this? Is it good? Maybe 343 is gonna see these and realize that maybe they gotta kind of get their crap together, or is it bad in the sense that it might turn away future viewers from Halo, seeing that Halo's still broke even though it has been more or less fine for a few months now.
I think it's good for teams, but I think it's bad for 343. I mean, I heard everybody keep saying, Halo 5 is like 343's last chance to get, their crap together, which I agree. I mean, just playing Halo 5 beta, which I wasn't a big fan of. I mean, it kind of grew on me after I played, a few rounds of it, but I just think I don't like the direction they're taking it, I want to say. When you think of Halo, you think of like Bungie's Halo. Where you didn't have sprint, you didn't have ground pound, you didn't have ADS and all this stuff, and I mean, I guess it's the evolution of gaming, but I mean, look at Halo 1 and then, look where it is now for what it came from. But I don't know, man. I just think that I want to say it's a big embarrassment, more than anything.
No, I think that's exactly what it is. It is embarrassing for him, and for that reason, I think it's good and bad. I think it's good because maybe it really makes them be like, all right, we got to get our shit together. You'd think that after this launch, they would have already had that mentality, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it doesn't. But the bad side of it, like you said, maybe it does turn some people off from from Halo. But fortunately, I think MCC, like is just kind of a trial run for Halo 5. Um, I'm optimistic for Halo 5. I actually don't mind like thruster and the clamber and aim down sights and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of sprint, but the one thing, if you could shoot while sprinting, I wouldn't have a problem with it because I think when you add those things, it does, and you can shoot while doing it. It adds a skill level there. Because the problem with sprint is that people can, once they start running away or whatever, to keep up with them, you have to sprint also, and then now you can't shoot them. So if you can shoot and sprint, then I don't necessarily have a problem with it. And the more, because it's just extra buttons that you're having to press, that would increase the skill gap. And I mean, I feel like increasing the skill gap is always good.
Well, I do like they have how they did add to where if you're sprinting and you don't have any shields, they don't recharge until you stop sprinting.
That's good. Yeah, that is
That
true.
is kind of neat.
That's helpful. It's better than how Reach started, but
Yeah.
I think there's still ways to go. Maybe if you could shoot while doing the thrusters, because then that adds an element to the strafing. So,
What has it been?
We'll see.
Since November, and like MCC still broke though. I mean, trial run. I mean, 5 months later, it's just like as big as I hate these guys put it on.
I have no
like
excuses
E3
for
and,
MCC. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's
caveat
getting
that.
better,
The game itself is
but-
good. I really like the game, but the net coding, all the problems that's happened between launch and now, and still happening, that's terrible. Had the matchmaking ranks, all that worked from launch, parties, everything worked at launch, it would have been one of the best games probably, because the actual gameplay of MCC is really, really good.
And me, like many people, took off work that day to.
Yep.
Me and a good
Yep.
buddy of mine I used to play doubles with back in Halo 3, and we agreed, okay, whatever day that comes out, we'll take that day off work and we'll play it all day, and then we're just like, we can't even party after.
Would you get
this.
2 games?
What is going on? Yeah, even if that. I mean,
Yeah.
playing, lobby, musical lobby.
Yeah.
We played for the majority of the time, but it's a big bummer.
Time to quit the build.
Yep, exactly.
But I am optimistic about Halo 5. Maybe I'm naive or foolish to be so. But I have to believe that, yeah, they're getting paid, but the pro team there, they didn't work on MCC at all. They are working on Halo 5, and I believe that they're going to have that. They're going to have enough of a say to make that game going to be a good, viable, competitive game, basically. So, at least I would hope so, to have those pro guys there. What's the point of having them there if they're not going to have some input and say on stuff? So I would think that they're going to be at least marginally happy with the way that Halo 5 plays and everything from a competitive standpoint.
It's kind of weird. Like, well, I mean, I'm sure it'll grow on me. I mean, MCC is kind of first year, like, it's broken and it'll never be fixed. But the more you play it, you still have fun with it. But I do like the kind of like the game types that they were adding right there at the end of the beta. Kind of reminded me of, kind of like Search and Destroy, really, for Call of Duty, where there's only like the Halo version of it where everybody had one life. As the first person, the first
Breakout.
team to kill everybody else. Yeah, Breakout. I did like that. It was kind of neat trying something different. But
I don't know. I feel like changes need to be made, but I feel like Breakout could be an alternative to Team Slayer. In that Team Slayer gets really standoffish sometimes. And if something was done to make it so Breakout didn't have the same thing happening, then maybe it could replace it. But I don't know what those changes would be exactly, or how they would incorporate it. Because you can't have an entire tournament that's just Breakout. That's not. I don't think that would work for Halo. You need to still have those King of the Hills, the flags, the balls, because that's what made Halo really. Were those type of game types. So you have to have those, and some way to make Team Slayer speed up would be good. But I'm not exactly sure how it would work or how you incorporate Breakout. But I'm sure there's a way.
good question, Phelan. Is Ricochet going to return for Halo 5?
I don't expect Ricochet to return, but
it'll be there. That's 343's little baby, and Ghost Ayame too. I believe Ghost Ayame is a huge Ricochet fan.
Well, I mean,
It's
as
just-
a game type, yeah, I'm sure it'll be there.
Yeah.
But as far as the pro scene goes, I
Oh
have no
yeah, that's
faith that
a
it'll ever
something
make it.
entirely different. For one, you can't have the place where you score out in the open, like on Shrine or anything like that. That just doesn't work.
I just think of how big of a twist Ricochet would put on the. I mean, just think if you had two like teams like EG and like Denial, like okay, they go into Game 5 and it's Ricochet. you know
Yeah.
how different it could be if it was just, or if it was just like a regular Slayer game, or if it was a capture the flag. I mean, it's a whole different game concept itself. I mean, it's different strategies, and I mean, I love playing it, but I think it would be neat to see pros play it, just to see what
Yeah.
things
I
different that they do you might do different.
I think it works. I think Ricochet can work with the right map, and I think that the goal area has to be smaller and like kind of enclosed. So I'm thinking like almost. Okay, so like how in hockey you can go behind the net. It'd basically be like if the only way you could score was you go behind the net and score from that side, type of deal.
Mm,
So that way,
yeah.
it's a lot harder to score and takes that way it's more like bomb, but you know, there is some a little bit it's different, but because you can throw it to score and things like that. But you can't just have it out in the open like on Shrine or anything like that because then like or Warlord or anything else. It just doesn't work when it's out in the open.
I mean, how many times have you seen somebody run in, grab the ball as soon as it spawns, and then throw it over top of the ring and end up
Yep.
scoring?
Score. Yeah.
I mean,
It's yeah.
what
So
Phelan? What was
and
that
that's
game
why
we
it doesn't
played
work.
the other? Yeah, what was Phelan? What was that game the other night? It was like 4-on-5 we were playing, and we ended up losing by like what, 50 points, I think.
Yeah, we ended up losing by one run in that we were about 5 seconds short of getting. The game ran out just as we had them completely spawn trapped, and I grabbed the ball. So it probably not
Oh,
even 5 seconds. It would have been the time of me walking through Bond and just throwing the ball to whoever was in the base. So just a couple of
yeah.
seconds is all it would have taken. But yeah,
I've only played Ricochet one time, and I'm not sure my teammates had thumbs or knew what was going on or what, but we ended up losing by 10 points, like 200 to 190. Um, I had the only like run in. They scored like some throws or whatever, but I had the only run in, and but I went like plus 30, and they all went like -10 each. So I'm not sure what they were doing because the guys are. I'm not the best player, and if I'm going big time positive, my teammate or my opponents aren't that good, and if my opponents aren't that good, my teammates are going negative, then my teammates are even worse.
all right. Let's move away a little bit from that, and I'm sure we'll come back to discussing Halo 5 a little bit more as Halo 5
Yeah.
gets near and, HCS, as far as H2A goes, starts wrapping up. I'm sure we're going to have a big in-depth discussion of Halo 5 at that point. Looking at the standings, we have EG in first still with 600, Denial second with 4, C9 in third with 300, Winter Fox at fourth with 175, CLG fifth 125, Optic sixth with 100. Since we last saw the end of Atlanta, we now have Noble Esports, former Velocity, in seventh with 50 points. As we mentioned earlier, they were able to keep their points since the team four completely stuck together and just more or less rebranded them, similar to Team Randa rebranding as Winter Fox. And then, like I said, we don't really know the current 8th seed since it seemed like there was a 4-way tie at the time. But since Reality Check got pulled into the Legendary bracket last week, as of right now, we're going to put them in the 8th seed with 30 points. But there would be a 4-way tie right now for that 8th spot, technically.
Yeah, my guess on why Reality Check's the one that got pulled in there, if I had to guess, it's because of that FFA that they used to determine ties going into Atlanta, where Septic won it. And so that's what would be my guess on why they got moved in instead of anybody else, is because maybe they're still using that tiebreaker.
That could very well be. I don't think they ever mentioned why Reality Check was the team that got pulled in, if it was just random or if they were basing it on something. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to find out, and we'll probably just have to wait and see what the next online tournament brings us.
Right.
Speaking of the next online tournament, Let's do some predictions for Online Cup 2, 1. I'm not sure if they're gonna. I think they're just gonna call it 2. I'm not. I don't think.
1.5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1.5.
I think it is just 2.
I'm not sure what they're gonna call it, but yeah. What do we? If the teams aren't really able to practice much, I'm not even sure if there will be a cup this weekend. To be honest, if the issue doesn't get fixed soon. But assuming there is, teams haven't been able to practice much. Who do we think's gonna be able to pull it out? I know we all previously had predictions of Denial or C9 taking it, but I'm gonna have to change my vote to EG. If the teams aren't able to practice,
Yeah.
I think EG's gonna just have the most natural ability to just pick it up and continue to be dominant.
Because doesn't Roy
Yeah.
and Snipe Down, they kind of play together a lot? Like, because I remember like seeing Roy and Snipe Down stream all the time.
Yeah,
just them
Roy's
sitting
been-
beside each other.
I don't know if they're at the same place or not right now. They may be, but I know Roy's been streaming a lot. So I think EG is a very safe pick. I think we should keep score on this for the rest of the season and see how everybody does. I'm gonna pick just to branch out and try and take the lead. I'm gonna pick CLG to win it.
Let me write this down so I can make sure we're keeping track of points. However,
Alright.
we're going to do it. I think we all technically got IG Atlanta correct because I'm pretty sure everyone said or EG going in. So I would say everyone's at 1 at this point. But let me.
Well,
write
it was
down.
a start from scratch right here.
Okay. So Phade has CLG. Phelan has EG. What are you thinking, EXO?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with EG. I feel like that's the safest bet. I wanna say like somebody like Denial or I have to go EG.
Yeah, I mean, without practice, it's tough to have to go against them. If all teams are practicing
definitely.
and putting in scrims and work, I have no problem
Yeah.
saying Denial or Winter Fox or even C9 or even CLG. Like any of those teams could potentially win that tournament on any given day. But with the fact that they haven't been able to practice, I just can't bring it in me to go against EG.
No, it's definitely fair to say that.
Especially when they prove that they don't even need hosts to win a tournament. So
Yeah.
all right then, let's move into our tip trick of the week. This week we're going to talk about grenades, specifically the start of the game. We're going to go through the 3 maps one by one and kind of go through some of the big places you should be nading right off the start. Starting with Warlord. The first thing that you see a lot of the pro teams doing is nading your opponent's plat right off the beginning. If you've ever played in the HCS playlist and played against any team that knows what they're doing, you're gonna get that plat's a big area to get naded right off the start. Another big area is obviously camo because all the teams are going to be rushing right towards the middle, so it's an obvious spot to try to kill someone if they're trying to get to that camo. And then some of the other big areas right off the start are the ramp and health ports. A lot of teams will break off right off the start and have a couple players go right through those ports. One thing I like to do is when I start, I always go left. My Warlord strategy is I go left. No matter where I spawn, I go left. And I will rock right past the portal. I will throw a grenade at the wall so that it'll bounce around, and if anyone tries to port through right behind me, I just catch them with that nade and hopefully have a teammate kill them up, or at least have them back through, and I know they won't get behind me, and then I can push right into whatever side base is there and try to get control.
Yeah, definitely. From my experience playing the playlist, the most common strat is to nade me. I get naded off the start every game. It feels like, no matter which way I go. So I guess that's just a testament to my skills there. But no, I think I mean, getting nades on plat, it's always important because when you're trying to push that first camo, I mean, the fastest way is over the plat. I mean, that's the only way you can get to top mid is jumping from the plat or the shotgun block. But you have to go by plat there too. So yeah, if you can get nades on plat, that's great. Or shots. I know a lot of people will, like you said, push off left, but they'll go up on the nerd of their base, so then they can kind of see that plat and put shots that way. And then nading the portals and stuff like you said. Also catch anybody coming through there. There's a lot of different opportunities. It really just depends on where everyone's going, like where the other team goes. But I think you're right with trying to get nades on their plat, getting a nade up in the camo area, and then nading a portal. So
Yeah, and then just another thing I'd like to mention that depending on where I spawn in the base, if I spawn, I guess, more towards the right side of all the players, I'll usually take my first grenade and send it towards the ramp port of the opponent. So anyone who's dropping down to their left, whether they go into the portal or not, would get hit by that, hopefully.
yeah.
And then I save my second grenade as I walk by the portal on my ramp port and nade there, hoping to catch them as they try to come through. Are there any other areas that we missed, or is that usually what we see off the start?
I mean, pretty small map, so it's a very much a run and gun and stuff. So I don't think off the start there's too many like real, I guess, big strategies like you would see on like Shrine or anything like that.
I think a real easy way to get grenades on their plat off the start is if you're looking at their ramp. As soon as you start, and if you go to your right, you jump to your plat. Right off their ramp, there's a big, tall, like pillar that's kind of flat. If you throw a grenade off that, it bounces right onto their plat where they're standing.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. Maybe that's the nade that always hits me.
Yeah, I've seen Ninja. I remember a while ago I seen Ninja do that. I'm like, oh, I gotta try that next time. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, if somebody rushes for the middle, you can usually get at least one grenade on them before they jump to top mid and make it a little bit easier to kill them. So it's just that's what I usually do. Either that or I try to just nade top mid as much as I can. But I mean, getting camo, it's like a 1 out of 10 chance.
If I've learned anything from the people I play with, we never get camo. I don't know if it's just a theme with the people I play with, or we don't like whatever's in the center. If we're playing on Shrine, we never get rockets. If we're playing on Warlord, we never get camo. It just must be a team thing that I play on, it seems like.
So what about on Lockdown? What's your guys' starts there? Like, what do you like to do? What do you see the pros do?
So this one's going to kind of have to break down into 2 teams, because obviously this isn't a symmetrical map, so each team's going to have their own area. Starting with blue, the people who spawn at Sniper and the Snipe Tower area. A big one right off the start is usually BR2, trying to catch anyone that's going to be, dropping down into that area. Usually the sniper will get blown to either BR2 or Library Door, so that's another, Library Door is another big area you want to grenade. Anywhere that they're going to basically try to drop that sniper to is an area you're going to want to get grenades on to try to prevent that from happening. And then the last big one would be open, which is kind of more of a delayed throw, I would say, than right off the start, because if they do get that sniper into BR2, you're going to want to get grenades on open so that as they try to escape up top BR/close street with the sniper, you can, hopefully kill them before they get up to that point.
The other one that I would say is, like you said, Library Door. When you push Snipe 3 and you nade Library Door, or the shortcut part of Snipe 3, if you're not being shot at, sometimes you have an opportunity. You can throw one down towards Sword and hit the Sword guy, so that if you have someone pushing through bottom mid, they might be able to clean up a Sword kill.
Yes, that's a good one. It's tough. I
Yeah,
seem to always be getting shot,
angle.
and it's definitely a hard angle that you have to practice, but that's definitely a good one if you get the opportunity to do it. And then for the red team, the team that spawns at BR Tower, obviously they're going to try to shoot barrels down, but if for whatever reason the barrels don't get shot down, or, you know, anything along those lines, you're going to nade basically S3, S2, just nade sniper. You know, the snipe team kind of spawns in a small area and can't really break out too much. They don't have many options of where they can go. So you're basically going to nade snipe as best as you can, and then nade bottom mid, because they're likely going to be, you know, realizing they're going to have to forfeit the sniper, and they're going to want to push towards sword and try to at least get some sort of power weapon in their power, or in their team's control.
I know. I usually drop down. I usually drop down for sword on lockdown, but if you drop down and then if you throw a grenade right where, the bottom mid kind of meets that little walkway there,
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, if someone's walking down there and they're going to try to shoot you, you'll get a first strike on them because it'll make them one shot and you just shoot them in the head once. I know in H2A, when you spawn on closed ramp and you run into library and you jump over, that little barrier that drops down to the sword, and as soon as you grab the sword, you throw a grenade right there. I don't know how many times. I mean, 9 times out of 10 when I've done it, I've got it a first strike because obviously they spawn different from what they do in HCS, but I mean, whoever's rushing bottom mid,
Yeah, because they
it's
spawn
an
bottom
easy
blue
way to
there.
get kill. Right. It's an easy way to get a kill.
Yeah.
At least give your team a little bit of a lead right off the bat. But obviously, blue side sucks on lockdown.
Oh, it's
You think
terrible.
they make it a little bit more balanced, but
An anniversary, like when you spawn snipe, that's not too bad. It's worse. It's still worse because the other team gets sword no matter what, and then usually gets sniper. So that sucks. But when you spawn, if you're playing anniversary and you spawn bottom blue, you're just totally screwed because they always get sniper and they always get sword, and you're stuck in blue. So it's like the worst of everything.
Yeah, I can't even mention, I couldn't even count the number of times I've single-handedly lost tournaments by spawning as the blue team in Halo 2 Classic and just,
Oh yeah.
You right off the bat, especially if you're playing an evenly matched team, right off the bat you're at a disadvantage, and that's usually more than enough for them to get a 5-kill lead and basically hold it through the rest of the game.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So shrine.
This one is kind of fairly standard, I would say. Usually you see someone who's gonna nade your opponent's sniper, kind of the street sniper area. So
Yeah, the person that pushes to jump up and stuff.
Yeah, that's a big one that you see pretty much all the pros doing because it's gonna delay. You're usually not gonna get the kill unless you're sending two people jump up to both be able to throw nades, but you're gonna be able to at least delay the sniper from getting it, kind of having to back down a little bit while his shields get back, and you're also gonna be able to catch anyone who might be going P Street. As they head that way too, so that's definitely a big one. Another one is obviously rockets. You're gonna try to nade your opponent's like Bon and rocket area to try to keep them from getting there before you, because the rockets can easily control that map, especially once you get them in ring and ring control. And then the other big one, which you don't see as often, but it's I've been hit by it plenty of times, is nading your opponent's jump up. That a lot, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to be going their jump up to nade your sniper. So if they're going to be going there, why not, nade them back, especially as they're about to do their jump up into ring 2.
Yeah, and the one that I saw, like a lot of the times at the tournament at Atlanta, you saw this. Whoever was going sniper, they would delay their run to sniper just a little bit to dodge those nades coming in. And while doing so, they kind of took that time to get a nade onto the opposing jump up. And you can get that angle. It's a small angle, but you can get it from like turret or the bottom of the sniper ramp, or from those areas. And maybe weaken someone that's trying to push for the rockets and help your team out there. And then also by waiting a little bit, you can maybe dodge the nades that are coming in at you at snipe. So I think that is a good nade to remember, or a good start to remember.
I know I usually, when I grab the sniper on Shrine, I used to push P straight, but as many times as I kept dying, I just kind of grabbed a sniper and then kind of cut back into like the flag area or maybe over towards the BR and try to at least knock their sniper down. That way your team can push up and then let everybody else on the team worry about getting rockets. Like Phelan
Well,
said,
yeah, and the other thing is
usually
that
doesn't
sometimes that
happen with
rocket
us,
battle.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes the rocket battle takes a long time, and so if you bring that snipe back, you can look down from like your main ramp and help out there or get a kill there.
Yeah, because I usually, if you have somebody going, jump up, if you can cut back and you can, kill their sniper in time, say if he's still in the sniper hut, because he's going to be looking down P Street a lot of the time, trying to kill, and whoever is in ring. But if you can kill their sniper and then you have whoever's going, jump up or car, could easily go and grab their sniper. So either way, I mean, there's different ways you can play it, but that's what I I've found to be more successful.
Yeah, and maybe next
Yeah.
week maybe our topic for next week will be actual just general starts outside of nading, but like more towards movement and where you should be moving for the maps. One thing I know, just kind of touching on the whole rocket thing, is it seems like this is how rockets generally play out. You go towards your bond, you try holding it off, and then you'll see someone do this like jump and jump. They'll come out of nowheres, land on the rockets, jump up onto the ramp, and just keep going. And just as quick as you see the rockets, they're gone.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, so if that doesn't happen, then it's usually a standoff, where
Yep.
it's
And that's
three.
usually the person that would jump up. They're the ones that have the opportunity to fly in there, grab it, and go.
Yeah, you'll see a standoff, and you'll just see, one will die, and then the other team will die, and then the other team will die, and then it just kind of keeps going back and forth until it's three down, and the only people left are the snipers on both teams, and then it's based on respawn, and they're still going for them. So
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you guys, about a month ago or so, I watched it was a 1v1 tournament that Jaywalk put on, which Contra actually ended up winning it. But they had different, normally with like PGLs, you guys are familiar with. If you do 1v1s, usually it's just the regular HCS settings. The only thing they change is just the number of kills down to 15. Now, what they did is they actually changed it up a little bit, and on Shrine, instead of having rockets in the middle, they actually replaced it with camo. So I'm just wondering if down the road, if they were to switch, or make some different versions of maps, and they actually took rockets out and put camo, I wonder how that would kind of play in, um, to gameplay.
Yeah, it's something that I think would be interesting. I don't even know if it's possible, but I can see like floating a camo above ring 3 basically, so that to get it you have to climb ring 3 and jump into ring to grab it. I feel like
That'd be
that
kinda
could
neat.
be, it's another spot. That way you can still have the rockets down there on the bottom, but then have the camo up there as well. And I think that could make for some good play on Shrine, allow for some additional flanks and things like that.
Or even if they make it like the original Halo 2 Classic Sanctuary, where you actually have the sword instead of the rockets.
Yeah.
Wonder how much difference that would make.
Oh, I mean, it would make huge differences. I think it would make it significantly harder to plant bombs. I think you would see a lot less bomb plants actually if there was no rockets, because a lot of the times rockets is what allows you to. You get a double kill or something like that, and then you can get some. You get them off the spawn again, or maybe you shoot a rocket at their spawn rock and weaken them or something. But I think rockets probably allows for the most objective play on Shrine. So if you take that out and put a sword in, I think you'd see less objective completions, like successful objective completions, which I don't know if that's good or not. I would probably lean towards not being good. So I like having rockets on the map, but an additional sword or an additional camo or something I don't think would be bad.
I don't know how I feel about a camo being on the map, especially on Shrine. I feel like on Warlord, it's kind of out in the open. There's not a lot of places you can be sneaky with the camo, so it's a little more acceptable. But on Shrine, especially in any sort of objective game, where you can, people will sneak arm bombs without a camo all the time, it seems like. And especially with a camo, I feel like that can make it even more crazy. And I don't know how I feel about the camo being there all the time. Maybe only during Slayer games. And I
Yeah.
especially don't like the idea of camo being there with rockets, because I can just imagine.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe instead of overshield would probably be better than camo
Yeah,
for that.
I could see that, but I could just imagine, whoever gets the camo jumping to, if it is ring 3 like you mentioned, getting that camo falling straight down on rockets, because if you're playing against my team, we didn't get rockets yet.
Yeah.
And then a person's
No,
gonna have
yeah.
camo with rockets, and that might be the worst thing I've ever heard in the world.
Yeah, I think overshield would be better. And then my envisioning for it or whatever is that it wouldn't spawn at the beginning. That it would spawn, a minute in or something like that, the first power up. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much all of the starts for each of the maps.
Yeah, like I said, maybe next week we'll actually go into general movement as far as starts go. But for now, we'll move into our question of the week, and that is, Do we expect to see some of the older pros returning for Halo 5? And if so, who? With the recent team changes, there's a lot of free agents out there. We're not sure what the status of some of those free agents are. Maybe, are they retiring or are they just waiting for Halo 5? We're not really sure. Legit is kind of in that category where no one really knows what's going on with him. We're kind of expecting him to come back for Halo 5, but no one really knows for sure. T2 did announce his retirement, but if Halo 5 blows up, I could easily see him making some sort of comeback, maybe as a coach, maybe as a player, who knows. I'll open this up to you guys. What do you think?
I'd say T2 would be my
Yeah, I think it
guess, but
yeah, I agree with you on T2. But also, I think it depends on the money. It depends on how much 343 and like supports HCS for Halo 5. If we're gonna see like some huge prize pool, like 500 grand, or something like that for each season final, then I think you're gonna see a lot more players coming back. Talking like T2, like you said, legit, Goofy. I think like guys like Best Man would come back. Let's see who else. Like SK. I know SK's kind of like been borderline with coming back as it is. So
Just an interesting point there is I actually saw SK at PAX East during the HCS finals. I saw him just walking the floor randomly, and that kind of shocked me. Like, he wasn't watching HCS or anything like that. I just saw him walking the floor.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's from Boston or not, but I was just like, oh, holy
he's
crap.
from Washington.
Haven't seen that face in many, many years.
Yeah. But so I think you get a chance to see a lot of those players step back into it and really compete again. You might see Enable coming back, like Destin or Tizoxic or anything like that. I know, or like Clutch. A lot of these players that have been around for Halo 3, Halo Reach, some of the guys from Halo 2 even, potentially. But I think you'd see... it's hard to say exactly who. A lot of people have moved on just in general. Like, people always want to see Ogre 1 come back, but that's not going to happen. He's, married, has a kid, living in Australia for the last however many years. So since like 2007 or something like that. So, or 2008 maybe. So like that's not a player you're going to see come back, but there are players that we would see come back, especially if it's really well supported. If the HCS is really well supported, and I hope it is, because I miss having like 16 good teams as opposed to just 8 good teams. Not that the amateur teams aren't good, but there was more competition in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 even, with Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo 3, and Halo Reach.
So just to kind of flip the question around then, looking at the current free agents, like I said, there's Ninja, there's Spartan, Prototype, Straight Sick, Legit. I'm trying to think if I've missed anyone else. I probably have. Shooter, Munoz, Ares. Do we expect any of them to not be back for Halo 5? Could this be the end to any of those guys?
I'd be surprised if they didn't come back for Halo 5. I think there's a chance that they aren't back for Halo for the rest of the season. But especially Ninja, there's about a 0% chance that Ninja's not around for Halo 5, just with his streaming at the very least with streaming. So, but I think all of these guys would. If you're playing now, you're probably going to play for Halo 5 if you've lasted this long and like stuck it out with Halo 2 Anniversary. So I think all these guys will be back for Halo 5 at the very least.
One thing I wanted to kind of touch on Halo 5, at E3, obviously we know it's coming up, in June. Do we guys think that, we'll see a lot of multiplayer for Halo 5, or do you think that it'll kind of just be like, what MCC was, just where, a little bit of Zenith we've seen, and a little bit of Sanctuary. Do you think that we'll see a lot more maps, or do you think we'll see more multiplayer, more campaign, or do you guys think we'll see?
I think it'll probably focus on campaign. With the whole Hunt the Truth stuff is probably what I think most of E3 Halo 5 is going to be. But they'll probably have a station there for, the press to play the multiplayer. So we'll get some videos from multiplayer, but I think like the main event or whatever that Microsoft or 343 like shows isn't going to be multiplayer focused.
Yeah, I believe E3 is not open to the public. I know it kind of seems to waver back and forth, and I can't ever remember what it is. But I believe it's, it's closed to the public and only open up for the media. So that would lead me to believe that they're not really going to be worried too much about the multiplayer, because I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they would even have enough people to do, a 4 against 4 consistently throughout the day. So yeah, I'd have to imagine we're going to, see a lot more storyline related stuff. Find out, more about the story of what Master Chief did and why he's being, hunted by someone else and all that stuff. I'm not sure if we will see any more multiplayer stuff before the game releases.
Yeah, and we may not. So
In the past, during the betas, that's really been the only chance that whoever was making the Halo has shown us some of the maps, and usually it's only been 2 or 3, and that seemed pretty consistent with Halo 5 only showing us 2 or 3 maps. So yeah, I'm not expecting to see anything from the multiplayer aspect. Maybe we'll see some announcements on features, but I don't expect to actually see too much video of it until the game's actually released.
yeah, there might be like another trailer similar to how they had before the beta. Like there maybe some just a 2-minute video of some plays that the pro team put together, showcasing maybe some of the new weapons, like the legendary weapons, like the super sword. I forget what they're called, the super sword and the super rockets and super whatever. But I wouldn't be shocked to see that though.
Okay, that will about do it for this week's episode. We'll start the closing ceremonies here. If you have any questions, feedback, or anything you'd like to tell us, please shoot us an email to 4shotpodcast@gmail.com. That's 4 is in the number 4, shotpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions you want us to discuss or topics you want us to discuss coming in the future weeks, feel free to let us know, and we will look at that. As I post this on Team Beyond and the Reddit Halo forums, please, give feedback there as well if you would like, rather than emailing us. And with that, I will throw it over to Phade.
Yeah, I just want to thanks again everybody for listening. We really appreciate it, and especially any feedback that you can give us. We are trying to always improve and just give the best possible content to the community that we can, because that's what we're trying to do, is just give content to the community and help grow the Halo scene. So we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, and it looks like we got one piece of feedback in the chat during the show regarding you, Phade, and that is they would like to see a video demonstration of some of the nades that we talked about earlier, so you can see you get naded in 1080p.
Oh, okay. I'll try and put up a clip of that. Wait, question. I don't have it up. Was that WAW Chroma?
It was Chroma HCS.
Okay, that was my best man at my wedding.
Gotcha. All right. Exo, over to you.
Oh, I just want to thank you guys for having me again. I just want to give you a big kudos for what you guys are doing with this. Obviously you're starting out small, but I have a feeling this thing's gonna blow up, very soon. It's just interesting to listen to you guys, because you guys are so knowledgeable with this whole the series and everything. Great job. I'll be streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/EX06, and you want to follow me on Twitter. I need to be more active on Twitter, but it's at Twitch_X or EX06. Other than that, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the kind comments. It's appreciated. It's nice to know that the hours and days and years of my life that I've wasted playing Halo and following professional Halo are, at least being useful and helping some people out.
Not wasted.
Yeah, definitely not.
I am Phelan. You could follow me on twitch.tv/Phelan. Phelan spelled with a 3, so that's FAIL3N. Same thing on Twitter. Please follow me there. Follow our YouTube or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Four Shot Podcast is the user. We don't, don't have enough people to have our own official name yet, but as you guys keep subscribing, we'll get there. And then one last thing I want to do, I want to shout out a friend of mine's podcast, the Unleash the podcast. It's a Hearthstone for all you people who like or play Hearthstone that may be listening. For those who may not know, Hearthstone is Blizzard's version of a online card game. It's available pretty much on all devices, it seems like.
Yeah, and they added iPhone and like Android devices recently, so
yeah, if
you
you're
can even play on
interested,
your phone while you go to the bathroom.
there you go. If you're interested at all in that, and I believe they talk a lot about tournaments and strategies and keep up with all that stuff. So it's called Unleash the Podcast. Shout out to my friend the Blevins who is on that. Please give them a follow and a listen on YouTube. And with that, I believe that will be the end of the show. Thanks everyone for stopping by and listening. Thanks for chatting along in the chat. It's much appreciated that you guys actually stopped by for the live show. And if you didn't stop by for the live show and you're hearing this on either iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube, thanks for listening there. It's much appreciated. Once again, feel free to leave us comments or questions or whatever along those lines. We would greatly like it to know where we can do better. We got some feedback last week about our logo being a little outdated, or not outdated, but childish, I guess was the word that was used. So I tried to update that a little bit, make that a little more professional. I reached out to a graphic designer to try to help me out in that area too. So like I said, we appreciate the feedback,
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is if you are listening on iTunes or anything else, make sure you're subscribing. That does help us out. And if you can, leave a review on there as well, because that'll help more people that are searching Halo or searching HCS or anything like that see our podcast, and we can provide our content to more people.
Yeah, and feel free to spread the word, so to speak. Don't keep it just to yourself. Tell the whole world about the podcast, or if you have any friends that might listen or like Halo or anything like that, feel free to name drop us and see if they'll want to give us a listen. With that though, that will be it this time for sure. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a good week.